The difference in line with drop shine's pretty big. On the Elite Tour, and it's different. You know, I fished 5 a few times, or no, 4. I'm sorry. I fished 4. I fished 5 a lot. 4 pound I fish occasionally in rare situations, and it's mainly why I did that in the past is because it was really tough, and it was like kind of late post spawn, and there was a bunch of small fry, and that's all they were eating. They're smallmouth, and they're eating tiny stuff like a ½ inch long. It was yellow perch fry, and it happens like that. I've seen it in California more than anywhere, like when they get on balls of fry and stuff. And the only reason I did that in an elite tournament is because they were just so hard to catch on like a normal rig. I had to downsize to like a 1.5 inch long bait, and I could catch them on 5 pound, but it just seemed kind of heavy, and I couldn't get the weight. I had to go to a tiny weight, and I could only throw the 5 pound with a tiny weight and a tiny bait, like literally like here, that boat right there. I couldn't get any distance in it, and the fish were kind of like just kind of up and boiling. They were in like 5 to 10 feet of water, and it was real clear. And I broke some 4 pound out the next day, and it was a Nida, and I got the 4 pound out and spooled it up on another rod, and I put the same rig on. I could get like 10 more feet out of it, like at least, like this, like it felt better, and it's just the way it basically it presents the bait. It's not because I'm afraid that I'm seeing the line. I'm more trying to present the bait to them more naturally. And when they're eating bait that size, they get real funny, and but that kind of goes with all the like the 6 and 8, the 6, 7, and 8 pound. It's presenting the bait more naturally. I'm like I said, not afraid of the fish seeing it. I don't think they see the line. It's more, the heavier the line you have, the more that bait's connected to the line and your rod. And it's kind of more direct. So you get like on 8 pound compared to 6 pound, there's a huge difference. There's so many reasons why I do that. I'm trying to think of them all. Like 6 pound, like in deep water, if I'm fishing like 70, 80 feet, which I don't we just don't. If I have those kind of lakes back east, and I do it in shallow water, like 30, 40 feet, but I can get a smaller bait to the bottom quicker. I use almost all robo-worms, but I also use like the shad-shaped worms a lot. And the live shads, robo live shads, are the small baits. And it just, to me, like using 7 or 8 pound just doesn't feel right. It sinks slower. You know, if you have to use an 1/8 ounce weight, and it'll take like 10, 15 seconds longer to get to the bottom on 1 pound heavier line, like in 40, 50 feet of water, and something like that. It takes a lot longer. As a 7 pound is kind of wiry, but 6 pound and 5 pound are just so much different. In the past, that's why I've done that. Is just presenting a small bait to the fish, a real natural, and basically trying to eliminate the line from the bait, trying to let that bait be as natural.
Spinning when you're doing that?
Yeah, most time. Occasionally I'll throw 6 on a bait caster, but not as much as I used to.
So when you say huge difference between the 2 line sizes, 3 line sizes,
Casting.
you're talking about casting and the way that
Presenting, the way the bait falls, the way the bait falls in the water. Like I used 5 in that green bait tournament last year. I caught a bunch of 4 pounders on it, and it was terrible, because they were like all 4 1/4s and 4s, and they were strong. They were done spawning. They were eating a lot, and they were just really strong. But the 6 pound, I had 6, 7, and 5 rigged up, and it just slicked off flat calm, and something snapped in my head and said, pick the 5 pound rod up. As soon as I did that, I started getting more bites, just because it was so flat calm, and it's something about the way it falls. Same size weight, is a light weight, but it's just the way everything worked. Like when you pick up your slack and pull your bait, it's like your line disappears even more. Like it's more just the bait floating in the water, and that's what made me get those bites quicker. But that's why I do that.
And you didn't have braid backing?
Well, down the base my spool did, but I use almost all fluoro on. The only time I use a braid on the spinning rod is when I'm trying to throw really tiny baits, and a 10 pound braid I throw. And when my kids go fishing, I especially put like, if it doesn't have braid on it, I put braid on it. If I could take my kids fishing, and like my 6-year-old, he can cast like 70 feet, and he doesn't fish that much, but he's a little guy, and I can give him like an 1/8 or a 3/16 or even a 1/4 ounce shaky fish, and he can throw it like a pro on 10 pound braid and a spin rod, and then he gets bit, he feels everything better, and they can hook them better, and I do that for my kids a lot. And I do that occasionally. Like if I need to throw a small bait really far, I'll use that 10 pound SX1 braid, And you can get like almost, seems like twice the distance on 10-pound braid as far as like, compared to like 7-pound fluorocarbon. You can get twice the distance. And if you do that knot, like 12 wraps on the 10-pound. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the type of...
When I'm using that light line, like the one for 5-pound is like I mean, I can almost touch the handle with it. I mean, I probably could, I just haven't tried, but it's really kind of flimsy. But on the 5-pound, you need that because it is awful thin, and you hook into a big one. If you have too much backbone, it'll snap them off. So the lighter I go, the softer the rod, and the 3-pound rod I use is like a trout rod. So I can kind of still hook them, but I won't break them off. Because if I use my 5-pound rod or my 3-pound rod, I'll snap them off. I'll snap every one of them off. But I usually most of my equipment is like that, where I can hook them as hard as I can and not pop them off. Even like my 16-pound jig rod, it's still, I know that rod well enough. And I know if I go to the 6.5 power, 7-foot, and do the same hook set, I'm probably going to snap a fish off here and there. But that rod I use, the 7.2 perfect pitch rod, like on 16, I know, even 14, I'm borderline, but I can still hook them about as hard as I can. I don't have to worry about holding back. And usually when I set the hook as hard as I can, just about. I'm not basically like powering it, I'm just really fast. I give it a snap on most baits. And that kind of reminds me on that hook that I was saying that you can just reel set them. That's, on the nose hooks, most of the time I do that. I kind of reel into the fish and kind of give them a nice pull. You don't want to like snap it really fast. Like you don't want to give them a traditional Texas rig, like a pop. You'll hook more of them, you just kind of pull into them, get that point to kind of sit, and then you kind of just give a nudge, and a powerful nudge, and get them on.